Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to EU League. As you can see, it's Virtus Pro versus Cowana Gaming. Both of these teams played their best in their national tournaments oh so long ago. And through Challenger League, through to EUL today, Virtus Pro did this 2 years ago before it was cool. And now Cowana are joining in themselves. It's the master and the student. And the question is, who can overcome? Des, it's been a rough time for VP.
It's been shaky, is the best way I can describe it. If a team could be more cursed, I'd love to know which team it is, because they've had some good games. They can frag, they can beat, they can tango with the best in Europe, right? As we saw against G2, and they can still give games away. It is so unfortunate. I don't know what is going on in their camp at the minute that means in a numbers advantage they still give games away. They've got to fix it, or quite simply, you're not going to be a top 4 team, as they aren't at the moment.
That's probably the best way to put it. I mean, when I was looking at VP and their ability to make majors and just seemingly slip into the top 5 here and there when people think they shouldn't, that was something that I was very aware was them sitting on a knife's edge. Now, unfortunately, they've fallen on the wrong side. They need to correct it, so we'll see.
Well, Jess, I'm quite curious because the turns have tabled in this case, and it's Cowana that are far up in the standings, and I'm curious if Virtus Pro can fight back against them. Actually, the perfect time for us to kind of skip away from the story time and talk about the rosters themselves. Virtus Pro is up first. Story time is great. Des, one day I will have you read me a bedtime story. That would make my evening.
He only reads picture books, by the way, so just be prepared.
It's called manga, okay? And it's art.
Uncultured swine.
Wow, that's the first time I've been called a swine, but nevertheless, team card on the board for Virtus Pro. Something that, of course, a lot of people will be expecting is that there is fluctuation for this team. I'm going to take the reins here and talk about Virtus Pro. I hope you don't mind here, Milosh.
Oh, go ahead.
This is a team that I thought was going to come into this season really hot, only because they were able to sneak themselves onto that knife's edge I was talking about previously, and I was hoping they'd fall on the good side of it. I was hoping they'd keep that as a momentum for them, a little bit of a push. Unfortunately, things have just cascaded, even bringing in one of the big all-time most experienced players inside the CIS region of Kajeka. He has actually had the worst season of his entire career, and things are just not looking good for them at the moment. I will say, however, they haven't fallen into what their comrades of Team Empire have done, which is absolutely propelled themselves to the bottom of the leaderboard. They are still within at least 2.5 wins away from them, so they're not on the bottom of the standings, but they're getting close.
Maybe as close as they are to their monitors usually. That's what I'm asking myself. That's, of course, Virtus Pro. On the opposite side, it's the UK massive Cowana, and who better to talk about the squad than Des?
The man has followed their story all the way through. First we had Na'Vi, then came Cowana. Cowana sadly not quite able, it seems, to repeat the same sort of success that Na'Vi had in their first season in the top tier of European competition. And to be fair to them, the only 2 losses they've had this season have been to 2 of the top teams in the competition. It has been Na'Vi, it has been G2. My worry for both Cowana and Virtus Pro is they've still got yet to play BDS. So you're looking at those games and thinking, that might be a little bit dicey as things kind of dial out. But more on Cowana, I think we've seen several sides of them this season, which is really good to see the kind of richness to a team in a way, right? They had Kendry popping off at the very start of the season. They had Sloth starting to dial back on the aggression to let players like Grizzly show what they're made of. And all the way back in week 1, when they played off against Rogue, they showed a really composed game of a team that just said, look, we won't make any mistakes. We'll let these guys walk into all the trouble and we'll capitalize. They've got what it takes, I think, to be a good team, but now they've got to show that they've got what it takes to become a great team by showing that when all the chips are down, they can out-frag teams like BP, arguably a team with some of the greatest fraggers that we have got in EUL. I'm talking about players like Pasha, like Milan, like Rask, even WTG this season's been going big. It's going to be a real hard slog today, and for me, the challenge for Cowana is, can they step up in the fragging department? That's what needs to be proven.
It's something that Mr. Officer is going to have to kind of pull them together on and give them the pep talk, as we always see on Twitter every day or every day before a play day here in EUL. I'm curious who then you two picked for our head-to-head, because there's so many people that have to perform today. It's Pasha and Gorgona, both of the players that we've been able to interview. So what's the deal here, Jess, please?
Well, what initially Des brought to me was two players that he thought would be good to compare, because we're always comparing the top fraggers or the top hitters, top rated players on each team. Instead, we wanted to pick both of the soft breaches for each of these teams. You can see the Buck on the side of Gorgona and then the Sledge on the side of Pasha. Now, Pasha usually sits really quite highly rated in his respective teams, regardless of what team he's on. Unfortunately, at the moment, he isn't really having that big of an impact. It's the Rookie of the Year, Milon, who's been stealing the limelight from him for the most part, but he has been doing his job as the flex frag and then on support, flex support. And I think that goes to show that both of these teams need players like Pasha and Gorgona, otherwise things don't get done, especially in the mid-round.
That's exactly it, right? They're the kind of like backbone players. They're not the support players that sit at the very back. They're not the ones leading the entry. They kind of sit as the middleman that's the glue that ties the rest of the team together. Gorgona's always kind of been the second entry player, loves playing things like Buck. I asked him why once, and he said, well, ultimately for me, I like how you can just blow out a wall that's in front of you, and suddenly there's a massive angle opened up and you can kill people very quickly. They like playing on these roles where they can still have a big impact. I can think back to some games at a major, for example, where Pasha's gone big with 2Ks, 3Ks galore. They aren't always going to be the players whose names are in light, but they are another kind of like, dare I say, a Virtue, a Blur-esque player where, yes, they're not always going to be the entry and getting the big kills, but they're Mr. Consistent when you need them, sat behind those main entries for the team.
Mr. Consistent. There's nothing more quintessential than that. Honestly, it is so perfectly done. You are consistently consistent in this one, though. I'm quite curious which map we're going to be playing on, because after all of the talks that we've been having, it seems like this is going to be a big deal. Coastline.
Oh my god! I'm calling my mom.
Mom, get the camera! It's one of those. It is so long. My god.
Wow.
Host in Europe, first of all. Number 2, VP on defense, Cowana on the attack. If there is one map that you can kind of throw as a weird ball in this, it would be Coast. But why? Why is that?
We haven't seen it in forever. It's fair.
Yeah,
I'm nervous.
I'm literally having to pull my stats from like further back, knowing that this hasn't been played. So like I need to pull my stats even further back to even give you anything statistical here. Where is Coastline? Here we go. All right, maybe, just maybe, it's because Cowana lost it to Chaos, which is pretty hard to lose against Chaos, and then tied against Eminem. They haven't even won it since like November.
That doesn't say much. But yeah. But that's been a while.
Kavana's bad map.
I don't know how far I go saying calling it a bad map, because we haven't seen it in so long, right? Like, this is before they were even really an EUL team in a way. Like, now that they're in the Tier 1 league, they've got a lot more work going on. They've got a strategic coach on board. My fear, again, comes back to what I said earlier on when we were talking about Cowana, is the real test that stands before them, is have they got the fragging capacity to match up against the likes of Milan, Pasha, Rask. Coastline is as fraggy as it gets. It is chaotic. It is aggressive. This is a real test for Cowana. If they come out on top today, I have a lot of hope and, you know, I suppose excitement about their prospects moving forwards, but they've got to get over this challenge first.
I agree. You talk about fragging power, but I also want to talk about kind of the enablers, the ones that allow these people. Yes?
I'm just thinking Sloth on this map. Every time I've seen him on here, plays like an absolute monkey and just charges his way through the map. I'm just ready to see him swinging everything. I'm just like, here we go.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Des get down on one knee and propose to Sloth. He's that in love with this man, I swear to God.
Number two's got to be fighting for it.
The Monkey King is a joke. He actually got a pair of AirPods engraved with Monkey King on the back. And I was like, fantastic.
He did.
He's committed. He's gone.
That's how in love they are. That's how in love.
He bought
just like
AirPods, engraved AirPods.
He's a cool guy. Not the greatest fragger in the world, but good fun. I like him.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. So you want to talk about enablers? I'm not enabling Des to talk trash anymore. I'm going to cut it.
Actually, I love it, Jess. I don't know what you're talking about.
See, with Jess, it's kind of like open a door and just go, you want to go through? She's like, Des, no. And I'm like, every single time it happens. So she always tries to snap me back to being all serious. I'm like, Jess.
You know,
just
we're perfectly balanced in that way. We are perfectly balanced. I draw you in, you keep throwing the line out, I keep reeling it back in.
Look,
I mean, Milosh,
Des has got the party in the back with his haircut right now, so there's no way.
Look at it.
I can't believe that's actually a thing. Yeah.
Oh God, it is a mullet.
It's a mullet. It is actually running a mullet.
On the 29th, I couldn't book in. That's right. Get this right. Our hairdressers opened a week ago in the UK.
Yeah.
3 weeks bookings for everything in the UK. So 29th of March, it's April even. It's going. I promise.
I tried calling my own hairdresser in Warsaw, and they told me, no, it's going to take at least 2 weeks. I'm like, really? What's going on? They're like, no, we're not allowed to cut anybody's hair right now. I'm like, oh God, no.
I'm sorry.
yeah, well, it's Australia, right? I tune into OC to APAC South, and then I see Dev and everybody. They're like, yeah, we're advertising gym and going out and doing things that are like, people can go out. This is crazy.
I know. Very lucky, very lucky. Nevertheless, I do want to bring back the point.
Go ahead. I was going to bring it back.
Hey,
Ms. Bolden.
I know you've forgotten. Yes.
I will allow myself to bring it back for this one.
Oh, thank you.
And we talk about the enablers for this one, as we sometimes are ourselves on the show.
Let's start with VP then. Pasha was the one that we brought up in the head-to-head, and rightfully so, especially on defense. I'm thinking from a more defense perspective here. He's the mute. He's the one that is breaking things apart. He's making sure walls get closed off if necessary. I do want to think that probably the other enabler on the side of VP is meant to be Kajeka. That's the worst thing I'd probably say. Is meant to be. Unfortunately, doesn't quite step up in those areas oftentimes, which is hugely unfortunate. I will say, however, someone that I've seen sort of move between a few roles has been WTG. Interestingly enough, I think they're using him as a full flex, and that's something that I've really enjoyed because he's been rocking things like the IQ, then swapping around to things like smoke on defense. So he's doing everything everywhere, and I like that he's so flexible.
What do you think, Des?
I just cast my eyes across the Discord for a second and just saw everyone ripping on one of our admins on his birthday, apparently. What is going on?
It's Coppet's birthday?
No, it's Runster's. It's Runster's, one of our production.
How do you say happy birthday in French?
Joyeux anniversaire. I wasn't here.
I don't know.
Joyeux anniversaire. Joyeux anniversaire.
This is a man who has to sit there and deal with that crap for, probably a good 15 hours a week. I am so sorry, but thank you so much for everything you do for us. Happy birthday.
Honestly,
happy birthday.
Can't wait for all of us to be in Paris and to actually piss off everybody that we work with, because that's exactly how we are. Well, you know what? I want to see some positive performance from Cowana on this one, because it seems like despite VP's performance, the deck is stacked against Cowana, because Des, you talked about you have to frag out, and it's against VP, big fraggers, and then you bring out Coastline. It looks like to me VP has won the map ban and set themselves up for a victory today.
Yeah, I think ultimately for Cowana here, again, I keep on speaking about what they need to be looking for here is to win these kind of firefights more than anything else. And again, Coastline being the kind of map that really plays into that. I know what I was saying around, I think that on the side of VP, they're a team that have got better fraggers than Cowana on paper. We've seen Grizzly have a pretty good season all in all. Like I remember a couple of games back, actually, they said to Sloth, right, you're on a leash, get back here. You're not going anywhere. You're playing on site, for example. And he was being quite smart about it. And he was picking up 2 or 3 kills in the mid-round playing on site. Grizzly was out on the roam getting a good number of entry kills. In fact, I think he's the only player this season who is positive on entry, which kind of translates quite nicely into another point. These two teams have 2 of the worst entry records in the whole competition. I believe they are -5 and -6, Cowana to VP respectively. Entry is not their forte. Someone needs to be in the lead on entry today, and I'm kind of wondering which team it's going to be and how.
Well, before our players do slowly get back in,
we're waiting on the lobby. By the way, it's not just because we want to talk about stuff.
Holding the button,
we're not just talking total crap for the sake of it. Well, we kind of are, but
I promise. But one thing I did want to point out is that we cannot forget that Cowana are almost double in points of VP. VP has 7, Cowana has 12. Let's not forget that, because on the standings, they look worlds apart, and we're sitting here talking as if VP are almost guaranteed to win just out of fragging potential. So I do think Cavana's got a lot behind them. Yet to be seen on a map that probably doesn't bode well for them, though.
Still awaiting, as there's some issues that are going on with our lobby creation, with the players specifically. So our admins are jumping at it. They have been working on it for quite a while now, so hopefully we can get into game.
Jump faster.
Just jump faster, 4 heads.
Honestly.
Or, in my case, 5 head. I'm thinking with my 5 head. That's what I'm.
Fair enough, Jess.
5 head. Fair.
That's why we're here. So we'll get the lobby done ASAP. But what is it then? You talk about Coastline. You talk about the fragging ability that people need to bring on this map. Why is it the case? Break it down for the layman or layperson coming in to watch Rainbow Six, because we haven't seen much coastline in EUL for quite a while, as both of you have mentioned. What's going on there then?
If you want me to take the quick lead on this, I think I remember the most recent iteration of Coastline, especially straight after the 20-second meta kind of dropped to become nothing anymore with the changes of Jaeger, etc., etc. This map became unbelievably fast. People were done, dusted before things were even spoken about on that map. So I think it's made it just an awful map to defend on, I'll be really honest.
I'm wondering if we see the sort of changes that we've seen being employed around the world coming into Coast here, where you see things like the Lion being employed quite a lot, or the Jackal. I think from time to time, yeah, that's sort of, well, think he might be going a little bit too far.
That's Apex South?
Cloud9. Yeah, absolutely. In APAC North, we did see Cloud9 making good use of Finker. But things like the Lion and the Jackal have been used on this map before. We're seeing more teams than ever making use of Lion to deal with the aggressive roamers that so many teams are employing, because you can't just sit behind shields on site anymore. You need to get out on the roam and cause damage. Lion makes total sense. Jackal makes a lot of sense. Really excited to see if it plays out that way in this game. But from what I can see, I think we're basically red.
No?
No.
Is it
good? No, everyone's just in chat. And now the Cowana players, rather than joining the lobby, they're leaving.
Yeah, there's an issue with starting up anti-cheat with the game. Don't you worry. We'll get in there ASAP. I mean, for me, I can finally eat in 5 minutes, so this is great. It's kind of all.
Okay, how do I say it? Is it Ramadan Mubarak?
Yes, that's actually perfectly it. Just wow.
I did it.
Congratulations.
Impressive.
Mubarak, Milosh.
No, it's Arabic. It's a completely different language and alphabet.
Yeah,
what? I just remembered it in my head.
I was going to say, no one else I've ever seen, like, this is because I can't read Arabic.
That's
I always see it spelled out in English as Mubarak.
That's true. But it's like when people say Kaid instead of Qaid, you know, it's just the small things that are supposed to be there. Des, you know what? I'm told, though, that Jess shows off that she speaks a bit of Japanese or whatever, but that's not the case.
It's not. She can barely speak English. She can't say the word wolf.
Wolf.
I can't speak English. I lived in Japan. I can't speak Japanese. I lived in Germany for a while. Barely speak German. Lived in Italy for a while. Barely speak Italian. What language do I speak? I might as well just not even exist anymore.
You just kind of
need
to and just hope it resembles words in the English language, of which it often doesn't. But at least you would try. That's what really counts. We appreciate the effort.
I don't even know how I've else. Thank you.
I hope everybody's having fun with this today. I certainly am. I don't know about you. Usually, this is how it is when we're off camera. So rehost riddles. That's something. Yeah, that's something as Hap is reminding us.
Do we have riddles?
Actually, do we have some tweets, some riddles?
Can we? Do you have them bookmarked? Why?
Yes, I have a few. Because I did it with Ace the other day. He had a rehost, and I was like, right, I'm saving a few here.
Okay.
Well, Milosh, he's going to be the host.
Bad at this though.
No, Des can do. Where is it?
Go, Des.
Okay. Let's start easy. I'll use the one that we used the other day. Ace got it in like 4 seconds. So you guys have got a lot to live up to on this front, right?
It's Ace.
You ready?
Big egghead. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
At night, they come without being fetched. By day, they are lost without being stolen.
Stars.
What are they? It's too quick.
Did you say stars?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's super easy.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, better than Ace. Let's go. Took me minus 4 seconds.
Man, this is too good. We're gonna hold a like riddle show now to really get this going down. I'm gonna give you buzzers and all that. So go Milosh, and you're gonna go stars. You're gonna go 10 points to Milosh, and then you have a fake round of applause from an audience as well. That'd be phenomenal.
I would love a trivia. Trivia content would be great. All right, let's go.
I prepped my whole life for this.
What else can we go with? Okay, walk on the living. They don't even mumble. Walk on the dead, they mutter and grumble. What are they? Walk on the living, they don't even mumble. Walk on the dead, they mutter and grumble. What are they? I'm dying to see if chat starts getting this before you guys as well.
It's going to be a while before this.
I was going to say, if they
wouldn't get it till then. So they grumble.
We're in the match by 4 minutes. Walk on the living. They don't even grumble.
They don't even
mumble.
Walk on
the dead. Mumble. Is that an important part of this? Okay.
Not at all. I just wanted to confuse you a bit.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Is it a leaf?
Yes, Mila.
A leaf?
because when they fall,
mumble because they're like nice and soft still. When they're dead, they're all crispy and stuff, so they mutter and grumble.
Before Easy typed it, actually, I knew it.
I live in Australia where all the leaves are crunchy because we've got scorched earth at all times. And I'm like,
Wait. What do I hear?
Hello.
We're ready.
Teams are ready.
Jess loses 2-0. I declare Milosh the winner. Let's go to game. Come on, let's do it.
Woo! And you know what? I'll give it to you, Jess. It's 1-1 for this one. So we're all winners in this game, Des. You know, as Ace would say, we're all winning because we get to watch
she
it.
wants me to be the loser I really am. So
Don't worry, there'll be plenty of moments for that one, Jess. Until then, Virtus Pro versus Cowana is ready, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe we're going to go to Coastline for this one, and it's Fluke and Hap that'll take us through sunny Ibiza. Please, my friends, enjoy.
Press the start button game there for a while. Wow, it's finally over.
Sorry.
And it was entirely the caster's fault. Not us, though. Hey, we're going to Coastline. The other guys, the other people that were just there. No, thank you very much for biding the time during what was a pretty technical issues. We're in now. For the first time, we're in Coastline.
You know, the actual issue was that we didn't know where Coastline was located
We were
anymore.
trying to
so
find
we
the
were
map
just
files.
we were trying to find the map.
Yeah.
We were just driving around in Ibiza trying to find the right. You know, we were on the wrong address a couple of times. Explains why it took us a bit to get over here, but we finally found it, and we're getting underway. We've set ourselves up in the commentary position with our X-ray eyes and vision.
We're here now. We're here in
and we're ready.
Literal. Ready for Virtus Pro versus Cowana. Now, obviously, there was a lot of surmising and filling times. I know I mocked them, but you got to give them credit. You never really know when you're going to have to fill for a while, and it was a mix of riddles and ruminations on how this game might go. And I guess it's one of those curious situations for Virtus Pro, because although they're quite low in the board, they've been fighting every single game pretty much tooth and nail.
Yeah, they have been, and it is going to be a very exciting matchup because Cowana are trying to, secure themselves a top 4 position. Plays they managed to fight themselves into due to other teams, of course, lacking some points in themselves, having really good performances. And Virtus Pro, well, they have been in a slump. I think we can call it that. I think it was a 5-loss streak they went on in the middle of the stage. So it's up to them now to try and make up for that lost time and try and set themselves up to potentially even enter that top 4 still. If they win here today, they have the opportunity to put pressure down onto the teams like G2, Vitality, and even Rogue to get that final spot.
A fair removal here over the pretty standard bans. I guess the only one that you look towards as potentially being pointed is the hard destruction. Obviously, it's often cited when you come into this map with hard destruction bans. Okay, but where are they really used? Sure, Ace has an insane pick rate right now. It's like 85, 86% last time we had the full stats put together. He's had a big presence this season. Coastline hasn't. And hard destruction on Coastline in general doesn't really get the big play.
No, it doesn't really. Okay. Normally I would be a bit confused if I was playing ranked with the reinforcement being placed that way, but I'm gonna assume that it's meant to happen.
With the mirror on the board as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Normally we place the mirror towards service entry. However, we also know that these teams do like to go for a bit of top 4 control. And you see Kenry, you see Cowana. So do you really want to place it there, or do you want to put the mirrors up onto that top floor, which is probably what Kozhek is actually doing at this moment, just having placed one down, just to make sure that you're going to be able to hold a little bit of that top floor control.
I'm curious, obviously, I think as anyone is, to see where Kozhek does double those down and puts themselves in a dangerous position. And, well, that's a standard one. That's the first one. The second, is it on? Yeah, there it is, looking towards the big open reception desk. You know, it's one of the things where backwards reinforcements, which we're using just in that term, it's easier to throw explosives over the back of a reinforcement than it is the front, according to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's because of the little red beam that is up there that, of course, is a bit of a different hitbox as well. So there's a bigger opportunity of it bouncing back if you throw it from the front.
So it sets you up in a position where obviously if you're playing from deep and you want to try and put some destruction down, it can be played that way. But whether they just said, well, we need to get this up and we know where we want to put everything else, who knows? Maybe I'm digging too deep. But talking of digging, no pace wasted in terms of Cowana. Very quickly putting pressure, obviously drop the Banshee on the entrance of Service and hot dropping down into the bathroom. You can see Melusi has a very keen eye on the drones and the potential of somebody swinging. They're making sure they have a lock on this verticality, and the pressure is actually coming in potentially from underneath. That was, I think, they found themselves pressured and pushed back away from the mirror window. They're still holding a very long angle with a very good gun. It's watched from underneath, but the pings are coming up round. Pasha, pre-fire, a little too early, doesn't catch the head of a man who escapes, but who gets caught first is Gorgona with a C4.
Yeah, it's going to be able to pick up one. However, the refrag will be coming in. Sloth able to pick up Rask, and that brings us back to a 4-on-4 situation. Gives the opportunity to go for a bit of vertical, I would say, but Milan picks up the kill down onto Sloth. Moves it all up to Kendry now with that big caber with the sledgehammer to try and make sure that they get all the control they need vertically, as Milan trying to fight back and fall back towards the site.
Well, there's only so much you can really do on the outside when you're waiting and watching your bodies get dropped internally. It still puts them in a pretty tricky situation. They've got this verticality, but they've still got a lot left to do. There's one body playing loose towards Sun with a rotation possibility of Office. They have all of that map under their control, and that is the side of Coastline you see most often. Big rotations, big plays, and big possibilities around the danger zone. At the pantry, mirror is popped open, makes it a little bit more uncomfortable to hold the site. They're trying to clear themselves an angle into Service, and they are steadily just finding, almost found the mirror there with a yellow ping, and Arkic in the meantime drops Karjeka on the opposite side and is able to catch mirror as she's forced off her original location, and Pasha is played further and further back with Milan waiting to want to apply some pressure across the lobby.
And now you see with the vertical there why a mirror window on that spot wouldn't have worked, as Anarchic trying to sneak himself in to go for a plant, but will go down, and that means that the diffuser now will be dropped as well. VP have this round in their hands. All they need to do now is hold off the two members of Cowana. Milan will do so by picking up the first one, and it's only up to Kendry now, dropping the hatch most likely. No, not even. Saving the KD, and VP is going to be able to pick up round number 1 after dropping the diffuser, who they tried to sneak into Service entrance, but of course wasn't going to be helping because there is that angle from the kitchen door. That is the first defense successful for VP.
The cover came through when they needed it most, and to be fair, I still think Cowana could take away from that round. They were quick, they were aggressive, and they knew how they need to apply the pressure to a hold that is lesser seen. Not only for the fact that Mira was obviously on the board, where she's quite often banned here, but in the setup, in the lockdown of what they wanted to take care of first. They knew and had the eyes and the watch on the rotation up the white stairs too. They were doing okay, but as we said before, although Virtus Pro's score might not give that story, they have had very good games, a very good season. Obviously, they've only really been able to pull one full fat win versus... and then since then, it's been a little bit of obvious back and forth, but... is their recent victory going to be something that compels them and powers them to be able to finally do that thing that seemed a little bit lost on them, which is lock out a map?
That is the question, of course. Will they be able to lock out the map? As I really like to see Pasha use 10 of his hit points there, opening up 2 of the rotations, making sure that Karjeka doesn't have to use literally all of his shotgun ammo for the renovation, you can almost call it, of the sites. Of course, you have the full triple wall that has to be opened up at the bottom so you can try and challenge any potential blue bar plant from the lobby. That's the rope for now here for Pasha. That's unlucky for Sloth. Being picked up quite early there, and Pasha just dashing out with the Oryx. And Grizzly being picked up as well. Very good start here from VP.
Yeah, VP wanted to meet that early aggression. They realized how quick Cowana were and closing down themselves towards the building and went, well, let's catch them mid-step. And oh, they caught them. Grizzly dropped 2. That is so big. They lose the fear, they lose Ash, they lose that solid ranged soft destruction, the ability to try to monitor and meet at those angles. Those Melusis are going to be a much bigger problem now, and obviously the ADS is going to be so much more important when you only really have 6 flashes and the 2 grenades that need to be protecting Mr. President and their way through. It has to be pitch perfect from the throws across the board now. Kenny clearing his way around luggage and the backboard of the site to start putting pressure above. Saw the edge of somebody, I believe, a little too late, but isn't going to take the fight as of yet. Still has a lot left to do.
Opening up the door right there to give himself a bit of a better angle, as right now might be able to actually find Norix of Pasha, but decides to not go for the angle. That is, of course, often something that you do as an attacker. You do not want to instantly take the angle, because if there is a defender holding it, you'll lose your head. Pasha, on the other hand, right now, however, is going to be holding SWTG. Will be taken down by Cowana. Able to find an angle somehow, just very tightly. Taking care of the Yokais. They will no longer be able to burst you out, and with a minute and 15 seconds left, that might make a plant for Cowana a little bit more likely.
Well, yet again, trying to clear that pocket of space. They're concerned about the catch of anyone rotating around from the lobby towards the office side, as we see blue bodies further pushed and pinned further and further away. But as soon as they try and cross the entrance of Sunroom, it's held pretty tight. The flashes drop first. They pre-fire an angle. Nobody's home. Milon is the one that's keeping the firm eye from security across that sunny corridor and into a Narkic. They put bullets in but don't get the drop, and they realize that they need to apply some pressure. A grenade swings round with Pasha holding the angle from inside the courtyard. Everything is still technically in Virtus Pro's hands right now with the 3 splits they have on the angle, waiting to hear the audio. And there's the swing round the corner, and there's the drop on the man. They couldn't quite get the kill in time, but they pick up the trade now. 20 seconds left. Kendrew gets dropped as he tries to get a bit of cover. Suddenly find themselves on the wrong side of a 2 versus 1. Gorgona gets the diffuser back, goes for a pre-fire towards Milon, but with only a handful of seconds left, he has to try something big, brash and bold. Swings close. Kajeka was a little bit further, and Virtus Pro get a little bit further away.
I tried to go with a skeleton key right there, but unfortunately wasn't able to get too many pops off, and due to that, it is going to be VP able to pick up their second round in a row so far. And we haven't even gone to Hookah yet, to Hookah Billiards, and it will be coming up now. Normally, this is considered the first game, the primary bomb site for many teams, that is, at least. However, we've not been to Coastline for a very, very long time, so a lot of it has potentially changed. And we already saw with the Mira change-up that was coming that there was a different kind of kitchen hold, one that you might not completely expect. Of course, the Mira window that we did see in theater is one that you would like to see, but instead of using the one towards the pantry door, which could have, of course, been useful if there was no vertical play, wasn't played. And well, sometimes you see a mirror here as well. Not the case this time, however, due to the fact, of course, that a lot of these mirror windows can be taken care of from the roof if you just manage to find the right angle. It's got a danger donut for a reason. That is, of course, a big gap that is in the middle of the building. And that's what makes mirror a bit less useful on this site.
Well, if we're going to talk about one of the sites where the hard destruction is often used, it is this one. You obviously have the big angle hold you can take from VIP on the corner of the wall. You have the potential as well of the big quad wall that backs all the way along the bar, where they've obviously got themselves bandaged up to make sure it doesn't get popped open. That, for a lot of teams, is pretty much it in terms of hard destruction and coast, but it's something where obviously we're seeing Habana still pretty frequently. You can still do big angles. Obviously, I'm talking in the method of this is coastline compared to every other map in the pool, where hard destruction is often required. It's not just this little part of extra opening angles. It's your way into buildings or into sites in places like Club or Villa. Here, it is great for angles, sure, but it's not the make or break of a lot of teams' pushes. This is just, as I said, one of those sites where things can be a little bit more impactful.
See two of the members of VP just holding below in pantry and in kitchen. No push is coming down yet, but of course there's another reason for that, because sometimes you do see a VIP push coming down. Russia throwing that C4 will not find anybody. He actually doesn't even go outside the window, but now knows that there's some pressure. There is a member down in theater. Trying to go for the push, and drone will be taken now. Pasha will be rotating back to safety. But Cowana have taken that theater and bedroom control.
Still steadily droning their way underneath as well. Pasha is going for a little bit of a play here, aggressively monitoring the movement. Obviously no C4 left as Went for it with early, but didn't quite catch them there as Sloth is able to escape yet again. He's concerned about the swing round up the white stairs, but is otherwise not going to be confronted as of yet, as Pasha realizes that they'd be playing their life out of their pocket. And so far what we've seen from VP is they've been very adept at rotating, at knowing when to take the angles and when to take the fights and when to play themselves into a little bit more safety and security. And here, well, did just that. Softed up security, pulled themselves back underneath the offices and wait for the bodies in the plant to try themselves on the default, where you can see the floor is already open, ready for the potential of Pasha to spray up through and stop anyone going for that quick cheeky plant.
Oh, no way! He just floor banged him there. Is that the default cam that is still up, or is that a yokai? That's the yokai in the corner right there. Gave probably a Z ping, and he managed to get the kill down. That's the entry. That is a very annoying way for Sloth to die. He was just droning out. They found no resistance from Billiard's side, and they were like, all right, let's see how many people are actually there. But then suddenly they're coming in, but there's the push as well in the meantime. Grizzly pushing through. They have control of Billiards now. Some C4s are popping off, but it seems like they might be able to go for a plant. It's only Milan left now against the 4 of Cowana.
Well, they found a fury in that drop through the floor. I talk about the potentially has to stop a default plant. He wanted to go one better, but to be honest, that pushed Cowana one further. They just went deep. They had the read that obviously somebody was underneath and off site and went, well, that means it's a 4 versus 4 on the site. Let's take it, push deep, push hard, and push the bodies, especially if somebody is wrapped up in a drone. They find their first round. They find a little bit of the momentum in their favor, and this game is turning into all of those signs of a bloodbath I think that we kind of expected and very much hope to see.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, you know, you see Sloth, he's speaking once, he's speaking twice, taking out the Banshee, and still nothing is happening. So it was the right call. Okay, let's just quickly drone it. There's no pressure being put down from VP back upon us. Yes, there is one below, but we can easily outrun him with all the verticals that were there. Of course, got taken down from below, but Cowana still went with it. They're like, all right, they're all inside of the B-bomb side. They're all inside Hookah. We can literally push in and try and take it with force. And, well, they did so successfully. Able to overrun that side, pick up their attacking round so far. Now VP is going to be going back to kitchen servers. They are going to be putting up the same mirror window as we have seen in the last round. And, well, if you still remember, last time around, there was that breaching charge of Ash that was used to make sure that the mirror window was going to be a bit more unplayable. As you see here yet again, Grizzly pushing in, able to pick up that first one. A lot of damage being done on the side of Cowana on a couple of the members, but they still managed to get the frags down in their way. And after a quick push, then that is definitely going to be giving you some motivation and some momentum to push into this round.
That's it. As I've said, they have not played this cautiously or slow. Regardless of the fates that they've faced round in and round out, they have made sure that they're keeping pace with what Virtus Pro are wanting to play here. But in the fairness of Virtus Pro, they're 2-1 up and they're trying to meter and monitor that pace to the best of their ability too. So this is a game where nobody is going to slow down, and we might start to see the full stretches of exhaustion slightly later on in these rounds, who can keep themselves moving and manipulating at the right pace. You can see, obviously, little bits of jump here as they're just trying to do the same lockdown they had before. Grizzly was on this window a while, couldn't quite catch anybody, but the C4 doesn't catch him either. A big blow of utility, but they dropped the drone in the meantime, and there's suddenly a double. Grizzly got some revenge, baited Pasha with the jump out. Sloth putting pressure around on the Aqua side, finds his entry for the first time in a while after being on the wrong end of it, and then gets one more deep down that main corridor towards 90 as Gorgona finds another. This is all coming up red and orange right now as Cowana just entirely shut down the hold that was off site.
Definitely so. It looked to be going so well for VP in these first 2 rounds, and suddenly Cowana, they have managed to find out what the setup is. They have been able to adapt to it as well. And as they are pushing through right now, it's only up to Kershaka. The last man standing in a 1v5 needs to go for the ace clutch here if he wants to bring the round towards him. He's going to not even start that out. It's a flawless round here for Cowana as Sloth gets the final kill. Cowana really explosive right here. So after a very quick push down onto Hookah Billiards, managed to continue that right here by taking down the top floor defenses at a super speed.
So, if you weren't reading the little in-game chat there, unfortunately, the lag wasn't just affecting our observer, it was in the late game itself. So we're just going to have to quickly remake the lobby, and we'll get everybody back in as soon as possible. And this is a true test now that obviously we've got the wonderful Easy back in observing instead of Medics. Medics is probably watching because any mistakes in the operator selection or how the rounds have gone so far, well, he will be made sure he doesn't forget it by us and by Medics. But before I get into rinsing my friends and colleagues, I think it's worth talking about, obviously, the pace that was applied there. And as I said, it's something where it seems like they started fast, but both teams have gone, we have to get faster.
Yeah, it started out with VP being in the driver's seat, right? They were winning their gunfights. They had a setup which Cowana did not really know how to approach as of yet in that moment in time. Managed to pick up the first 2 rounds. Then they got a bit of a cheesy kill down onto Sloth, and at that moment, Cowana was like, you know, let's snap the fingers, let's just run at them, because if we're going to be trying to play slow, they're going to be outplaying us, whatever we do. So they just rush the side. They jump on the billiards table. They have one going on the right, one going on the left. They figure out the Echo is most likely playing behind the reinforced wall, because that is a very default spot for an anchor to be in. Take down that kill, and from there on, what is stopping you? Literally nothing left in terms of post-plan denial or plan denial. So what you do is you get the diffuser down, and they went really quickly from there on. And then you see the same in the next round. They managed to get their momentum. They managed to get it going for themselves, and they just carry that in. They just carry the speed into the next round and clear out the Romans, clear out the top 4 and anything that was on their way with some impressive speed.
And I think it's always obviously worth looking into the selections that are made on the boards of the defenders in terms of a game like this, because both these teams are great frag teams. And I think that's one of the things where in the current meta, you're looking at how much potential they had. Obviously, Cowana was in a way an unknown entity because they came from CL. They kind of came up the open quals. They did very, very well, but it's a very different beast playing in tier 1 versus playing in tier 2 continually. It's, you know, sure, you can have big showings, but week in, week out, having to put the pressure and having all that pressure put back upon you, it's a very different environment. And you're looking at, I guess, a team where they've been able to step up to it, and some teams do. Like Virtus Pro weren't able to, some teams don't. Like BDS weren't able to back here. Whereas Virtus Pro, they haven't quite found their own for a team that a lot of people, with the current meta, when it sort of got announced and sort of got kind of, you know, with the nerfs on Jaeger and how that sort of played into it, were like, Virtus Pro could mess things up, like, for other teams right now. They could be so solid.
It's also something we said about Empire. They of course won the major. The changes came through, which, according to many, would be resulting into a more aggressive kind of playstyle, where you wouldn't have to worry 2 minutes about destroying bulletproofs, but rather you would be taking care of the roamers. That would be the new way to waste time, and that is something we, of course, see here as well. It's a multi-layered setup. Players fall back, players go back in and try and retake the position. That is how you stall the time right now. It's no longer just by shields, banshees, evil eyes, and whatever you can find. The Russian teams seem to be kind of struggling in this new meta so far. Plus teams like Na'Vi, for example, they seem to excel at this.
No players have complained yet, so I think that means Easy it was able to set up a rehost. Very proud of him.
First one of the season. Let's go. Congratulations.
Well, now you've said it. Now it's going to open the door for more, and you really you just baited it. So if any more happen,
I knocked on wood. Sorry.
Okay, then that's fine. Now let's see. Obviously, what changes are made here. They've obviously shaken up the rotation a little bit. Had the option to go pretty much anywhere outside of blue bar, and they've opted to instead keep going forward in the momentum. They're heading up towards a hold that we haven't seen them do since they lost it 2 rounds ago. Can they find success here? What do they believe they've learned? Well, they've learned how to at least drop one, but what a shot from Kendrew to take care of WTG on the back with the yellow ping assistance. Knew they were playing around the sunrise pillar and were able to make sure that they won't see another sunrise again, at least this round. Milon decides he's going to try and do one better, like trick shooting, goes deeper into the heart of the courtyard. The concern is if anybody gets to the top, you might find yourself dropped and slightly out of position, so he pulls himself even further back to make sure that they're not an easy picking as someone shoots them like a fish in a barrel.
I think what you have to be worried about now if you are VP is that Kendrew might be trying to get a grenade into the position of that Echo. Last time around, he was actually spotted on the reinforced wall as he takes a little bit of a tag. But of course, there is that grenade available to Kenru too, actually. And he could be using them from below, as Gorgona right now, playing from the Sunrise bar, is going to be potentially opening up a little bit with that Skeleton Key, putting down the pressure onto the Echo, putting down the pressure onto the Bandit that is playing inside of Aqua. Sloth will be joining that soon, so we just have to wait to see how Cowana are trying. Oh, that's a rid out going there. He's going to be able to make it stick, get the kill, gets the second as well. Pasha locking down both Sloth and Gorgona right there, and that certainly brings VP back into this round quite quickly.
Wow, what a play, all built on the back of intel there. Knew exactly where he needed to swing to next, and what a step up from Pasha. Big movements, big momentum, and wow, one of those things that really brings that big level of excitement back into the fold. And Arkic, underneath the bottom of Cool Vibes, wants to slowly creep up and see if he can win this first confrontation against Karjeka, who is playing this so close, waiting for the slightest sliver of that Banshee, and there it is. As soon as she wailed, so did you. Karjeka gets dropped on the cover, but they know where the last is, as Kendra is at least able to find Milon potentially through a window or a jump out. Either way, it falls his way. He's, again, massively concerned about the possibility of someone swinging out and going for a peek. Another canister, another 15 seconds is burnt, but it's not an easy entrance either way. Just charges through behind the back of the fragmentation grenade, swings close, can't quite find it though. A good idea, but Virtus Pro still had the bodies to make sure it didn't go to fruition.
I had to say, indeed, the right idea there, trying to push through and make something happen, try and force it to happen. It's just that the smoke moved a little bit too much to the left, making sure that the pre-fire wasn't going to stick. And well, that means that VP are putting themselves up with that third round onto Coastline, onto the defense. And, you know, it's been a long time, I know. But what was Coastline again? Was it an attacker or a defensive side of the map? I think it was a attack side of the map. I almost said it wrong myself.
Here is a little bit.
So,
I know that there's been some discussion about why we haven't seen it so much. Detective Des wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Well, let's see if he's going to be able to give us a concluding statement at the end of this game. But either way, if it is really and truly attack-sided, then VP should be feeling well with that third round right now and having the opportunity to go for 4 instead.
I think it's one of those things where it's tough to always get a full idea of how a map likes to sort itself out, because at least in the EU League, obviously, we haven't seen this map with the current state of play, with the obviously current operators, the big changes that came through on the meta beforehand. It was an attacker scene, an attacker-driven map before, and we are, in a lot of people's books, in one of the most attacking-driven metas that we've seen in a long time. It's heavy on the idea of being able to push in, get aggressive. Beautiful. Beautiful kill.
Beautiful.
That's one of those ones that's going to be definitely up there in the talks of that good old top 5 plays of the week list.
That could definitely make it to the top 5 plays of the week list, especially due to just the pure accuracy of those shots, just the information guiding that jump out, and this time no Claymore being there to pick him up, you know? It's just clean, indeed. But hey, we see a kitchen hold, or at least an extension towards the kitchen, and Rask is going to be the one holding it. He's a bit worried about drones, though, as Gorgona will be able to pick up the first kill. Pasha tried to challenge Gorgona. Not going to be able to end well for him, and that gives a lot of freedom here to Cowana, I would assume.
Yeah, Gorgona is an absolute monster on the buck, and he's able to get in and get aggro very quick when sighted, obviously. When Sledge lost his frags, Gorgona was one of the people that stuck around. When Buck lost his frags even, and Sledge was the only one with frags, my mistake. Buck was dropped from a lot of teams' kind of intense hold. There's only a few big Buck players left. Gorgona was one of them, and he says he loves the pace of swapping between the skeleton key and the gun itself, because nobody truly expects it. And he's able to very frequently get in and get aggressive. And talking of expected, Milon swung there, expected Sloth to be there, and is now waiting for the drop of Gorgona, but it's not coming just yet.
Not coming indeed. Milon just holding, trying to pick up a kill somewhere, and with 1 minute 40 on that clock, they also know, of course, that time is running in their favor, but at some point Cowana is just going to explode again, like they have done in the 2 rounds that they were able to win, as CWTG quickly doing some scouting work right here with that yokai drone, trying to find out where the actual players are, whether a drop is going to be imminent. As the Buck spots out the yokais, maybe trying to go for a little bit of a bait, trying to force the Buck to come over, but Gona's not biting, and instead will be deciding to open up the floors above the actual bomb site, create some vertical angles that they can use to try and facilitate the plant. Now, you will be looking down to complete a sunrise bar with the angle he has just created there, and he will be holding that as well. All they have to worry about now is the potential players that are around lobby and the hallway. Is Rask, for example, that has the opportunity to just lob a C4 over. He's going to do exactly that, but he's going to be taken out before he can actually press the detonate button. And Anarchy trying again to go for the plant.
Well, that Echo drone is ready to pop up and pop down. There's possibility of a plant. Just couldn't get away from that second C4. And Rask is back to fighting form, though. You assume his C4 was popped by the explosion of the first, though, so he doesn't have that as a double down, if not dropped Kendrew. Finds the man across the open of the courtyard. Can't quite catch the drone in the same swing, though. Is concerned of the pressure that's coming through from, obviously, Sunrise. Gorgona, though, in the meantime, making things happen up above. Putting more pressure on with the Buck. They still have these huge angles. There's nowhere quite safe to lock it off. So Kenny goes deep, survives, and Gorgona's able to find Rask on the opposite side. It is down to an Echo drone, and if this goes undetected, he swings the wrong way, gets the drop on the man after he gets the plant down, finishes it on through the wall. So he can't give intel, tries, but Gorgona with a huge round. I say he's good on the Buck, and then he goes and does that.
Very well played indeed. Able to pick up this final kill, and of course also the cover earlier on. Bring it back into a man advantage for Cowana themselves. Now the swap is upon us. It is going to be Virtus Pro on the attack and Cowana on the defense. Billiards instantly being picked up here by Cowana, unlike what we've seen from Virtus Pro.
One of the things I really like that I've seen more and more is when Echo's drones were made visible, there was a lot of, it's going to be useless. And a lot of that sort of conversations based on how powerful he was. But so many teams are using him just as like drones, like aggressive, like move around. They're very quick. They're very nimble. Obviously, you've got the multi-hatch play that comes into fruition. But, you know, smarter placements, sure. But the rise of seeing them as actual moving drones, I've really enjoyed how teams have adapted there.
Yeah, actually, the yokais are being used completely different now. Instead of being hidden and being like, haha, you need to bring an IQ, you're literally screwed.
That's it. Like, they're not even hiding them in sight. They're being like, okay, well, they're visible. I'm going to play it visible. You see people using them outside of drone holes to get information on if people are approaching from outside the map. Obviously, just there on the round, driving them all around the shop to get all the intel. It's fast mobile information gathering now, and it's so cool to see that adaptation.
It's a bit like Mozzie, right? Like sometimes you see a Mozzie hack a drone and they use it to gain intel as well, but just driving around the map. But Echo starts out with 2 already, and he also has the opportunity to stick them to the roof and get a sonic burst off. But what it does feel like more like right now is that it's actually an information gathering tool. It's meant to try and drone your roamers and give them some information, some backup. And that is a use we haven't seen in a long while from Echo, considering it was just way too strong to use it for that. It was better to just stick it on the ceiling and don't bother about it until the last 20 seconds.
Now, the way we've seen Virtus Pro playing for this season so far, as I said...
the timing.
We're on timing there. As I've said so far, they've been able to put in really good fights against a lot of big teams, but unable to close out the map. One of the things that they've been doing so well, though, has been their executes. Up until the very end of it, they're usually so good at locking down the control of the map, the people that they need to get, and then it, you know, struggles in the later rounds. And I'm curious to see if on an aggressive map like Coastline, if it's more of the same against a team like Cowana that are very aggressive. They love to be everywhere. They love to keep the opponents guessing where they're going to be next, where they're moving to, and maybe the slow powered setup of Virtus Pro, well, it works there, but can it work across 3 more?
Yells coming in, Pasha. Trying to put up some pressure onto the player that is Uncool Vibes. The rush charge being used right there will not deal any point of damage, but might take care of some of that utility. They're also afraid of a potential flank. You can see it. There is that rotation hold. There is still that man on the ground right there. I believe that is going to be the Elusive Kendrew. Pasha picks up that double kill, so that means they now have control of Cool Vibes and they have the opportunity to try and go for the push right there, but they still know there is that roamer, and that's what Pasha's hunting down right now as he gets that kill. Late round adaptation from Grizzly, though, just putting down that mirror window quickly, allowing them for a bit more vision for this final few seconds, for this final minute that are upon them on the side of Cowana. It might give them the opportunity to cancel a plant.
Well, the big double window gets popped open by Pasha, who's had an absolutely monumental round so far. It's ping pinged, and he's going to make sure it gets opened as the follow-up 2 gives them a big sightline all the way through. Grizzly has to pull even further back. This is the play that I talked about from Virtus Pro, controlling the space, forcing teams into uncomfortable situations before they go for their execute. They've been doing it so well throughout this season, but it often comes down to 1 or 2 little misplays that lead to missed rounds and opportunities here. 30 seconds, and Arkic is locking down the bottom of Cool Vibes, going to smoke it as Milon is the one that gets dropped off. They don't seem fully aware though as they swing round and offer the other smoke canister on the main hookah door. The big adaptation is coming all the way over to Aqua. Virtus Pro have gone for an entirely different take here. Is it going to be read by Cowana? They seem to have some idea. They seem to have a bit of a know-how. They definitely have a C4 left. Lobbed and blown. It gets the diffuser carrier, and Arkic has gone underneath with a shotgun. There isn't a body close enough, and yet again a little bit of a misplay leads to a missed opportunity.
That's not a little bit of a misplay there, Flug. That's a really big misplay that just happened there. Weren't aware of the utility that was still left in the hands of Cowana right there, and they're able to make good use of it, even though they were down on the men count of Pasha, having such a big round, able to pick up 2 kills on the Cool Vibe stairs, then clearing out the roamer that was playing underneath. And as he's going up the window, even opening up that mirror window, VP decide to go for a rotate. They decide to go for Aqua instead. The C4 comes in. The C4 downs them and outs them off that round. Right now, Cowana, finding themselves in the lead, are trying to build upon this as we are going to kitchen and we are going to service. Do have the mirror again on the board, and the question is, how will they use the mirror windows? You can see one is being set up for pantry as Grizzly is doing the reinforcements himself. Will the second one go towards... Yeah, that's going to go top floor as well, because again, we see the reverse reinforcement coming in to drop grenades.
That's it. The fact that it's continually a reverse reinforcement, it's great to see that they are using that for that long throw adaptation towards either default or, if you're feeling really accurate, all the way to the back of the room. Accurate and strong. Here, though, it's a heavy upstairs hold. They've popped the mirror window in a slightly different location, obviously, but it's one for the other. It means that they don't have as easy an access to the drop hatches. Some teams will open that, then open the hatch, so you can kind of slip through and see if you can make it. Here, you've got to go a bit wide, and, well, there's Kendrew dropped, went for... I'm curious if he went for a peek there or got caught out on a rotation. Either way...
I think he tried to rotate.
Yeah, not a good opener.
I was going to say as well, the other reason you can place the mirror window there is because it makes it a little bit less accessible from the main lobby. Because you saw when the VP was playing the mirror window in the opposite wall, all Cowana had to do was just shoot in an impact from the actual Lambo door, and they were able to put some pressure down. Now that is going to be a bit different now. It's a bit further away. Might actually force them to take control of lobby. But if you get the kill there early on down into Kendrew, is going to be making it a little bit easier to take that lobby control. And Cowana now will find themselves with a man down super early on in this round, with drones coming out, a lot of pressure as well. We might even see a grenade just sailing through that door very soon. My wonder is, or my question rather, is if there is going to be an ADS located due to the Jaeger playing in this position.
Well, a lot of the confidence here comes from that body on 92. Obviously, if someone gets a little bit bold, they can try and swing round against Gorgona, where he's just on that lip of if they hit VIP door, they can probably hit you too. But Grizzly's able to get the first body dropped. You can see they're going for a big rotation adaptation. Hit the drop, get out of there. The pressure was a bit too hot. Milon, well, he doesn't see anybody as of yet. Watching for the stairs rotation instead. They will very quickly become aware, but this is the body they might catch as we see a rotation there. Sloth actually pulls away, flirted with the idea of danger, but realized, well, there's a minute. It's a 4 versus 4. Let's not risk it for now. However, the ping gives a bit of a game away on Gorgona.
Sloth, of course, playing that Oryx has the opportunity to go for some vertical play now. There is a hatch located inside the office, so he has the opportunity to go up top and try and go for the flank, even though they have no control of some of these staircases. So that might be something that's happening. We do at least know C4s are being tossed up. You also see the mirror Grizzly quickly going for a rotate down there on Cool Vibe stairs, so they're definitely looking to go for some vertical pressure, for some vertical contest coming in right here from Cowana, whilst VP continues to open up. And with 35 seconds on that clock, surely soon these kills are starting to rain in.
Well, Milan wants to try and find some control there on the front door. We saw him going for a wide pick as Gorgona suffers. There's WTG getting some pressure down inside. They've cleared themselves service entrance, though, and as long as they can keep their pressure here hot, they might be able to outweight these smoke canisters that are being thrown from deep. As I said long before, they have an angle and possibility, but it's still tough to place from that hefty range. Now, though, they're going for the plant, going for the drop. They're swinging in close to get him through the default wall. He's there. Does he see him? He doesn't quite see the planter. It's a long way round, and they're able to get it down, but then they get down themselves. Just a 1 versus 1. Gorgona knows where he is, knows that needs to try and sneak this, bait the potential players. They're setting themselves up with the drone. It's Buck above his beloved, but he's just, he's so almost stuck it too.
It was getting so close right there. I was almost convinced that he was not going to be able to pick up the kill due to the fact that it was just one shot was necessary to get that kill down. He probably thought it would have gone for the, the defuse through the wall. Sometimes you see teams open up a little bit so you can try and long arm it. Not the case here, of course, and thus the round will be going to VP, and we do stay on a close scoreline. We do stay on a 4-4 so far. No tactical timeouts being called yet. Means that both these teams still feel like they have some control of the situation, or at least haven't lost full control yet, or a full grasp. That means that we continue going. Again, kitchen service, the side that will be played after, well, cutting it quite close, you can almost say. If only the flank would have worked on that top floor, taking down the Buck, that would have been the round for the likes of Cowana.
1.3 seconds was apparently cut into production. How close it was?
It's not as close as we've seen before, but it's definitely close.
Yeah, it's like racing. It's like you say 1.3 seconds, and to the players, that's the longest time. That's like,
yeah,
especially for the one doing the defuse.
Like an eternity. If you're looking at it here, it's just you blink your eye almost, and it's over. It's if you have a very slow blink. That
very slow blink. 1.3 seconds. That's a very slow blink. I think you need to go see Milos, the optometrist. Get yourself sorted out there. Talking of getting stuff sorted, the slight adaptation with the mirror on the top floor. They've dug it in with the mute jammer on the opposite side. They're opening the same holes. I guess, in that situation, they tried to hop around and go for it instead of dropping the defuse. The wall was definitely unreinforced, wasn't it? Where the default was.
Sorry, what did you say?
The previous snap, when obviously they did.
No, it's on a different wall, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess I'm curious why they didn't try and just shoot through the wall and go for the wall bang, even to get him off the diffuser. But, you're never in the heads of the players. They went for the long way, potentially to keep himself protected from the possibility of watch from above, but the cover was in there. Now, though, enough about the last round. We're on to this one. And as I was saying, the mirror is in a slightly different location, doubled up by the mute. They've gone with a lot softer of a hold up top, it seems. Way less utility, way less dedication here. The jammers are going to stop that intense droning, but, well, Gorgona's going to stop Pasha's entrance.
Yeah, it's not going to be helping VP quite a bit after they just managed to win the round. This time around, that entry will be going over towards the side of Cowana. As Lasser and Kendry got picked up, unfortunately. This time, Cowana able to pick up a big frayer on the likes of VP. 7 kills for Pasha. Not going to be having an impact this time around. Does VP need to find a different way? How are we going to be approaching this now? Are we just going to set up some X-Cars onto that mirror window? Try and take control from there. Sloth actually doing a lot of damage down onto WTG in the musical hallway. Able to get the kills down, however, as Rask will be able to take down Gorgona. Now the question is, do they know theater is safe and do they take control? Or are they still wondering with drones whether or not they can? There it is.
Yeah, there goes the Gemini, making sure that they have all the eyes on everything that is in play and in place. Okay, we have the vertical control that we wanted before in about the same amount of time, and I guess we'll see if it really comes down to the fuss of the fight itself, because obviously, as I said before, there was a lot less dedication in terms of hard utility up here. No shield on 90 with no doubled up body. Obviously, Sloth is on the roam on the opposite side, but otherwise,
climb up.
Everyone else is still underneath, and there's a very aggressive spot there being played by Anarchic, I think.
It is a very aggressive spot, but I think Sloth just actually climbed up back again. He is playing from the Aqua side right now. You have him going through luggage, hoping to pick 1 or 2 members up, as he's going quite carefully, taking out some drones in the process as well. Trays are coming in the meantime. Anarchy going to Rask, but the grenade will get him post-mortem. But with 15 seconds left, Sloth really needs to hurry now. He needs to put in that pressure, that push into motion, because otherwise it's gonna be too late again, and they will be able to get the plan down as this time Kendrew is ready to try and cancel it. We'll be able to get some red pings out. Impact grenade will take him out, and that is gonna be time for Cowana. And that is gonna be the round as well. Kobe quickly being typed in chat.
I mean,
it wasn't that big of a Kobe, I must say. It was a pretty close range one, but it's still a kill. It's still securing the round for you, team.
I thought it was you shot Kobe for accuracy and you shot Yeet for power.
Oh, okay.
That's the official scientific reasoning behind it.
Notation and stuff. Yeah, okay.
I mean, obviously there, again, it came down to time. I think time has been a bit of a pressure for Virtus Pro over all of their rounds on attack so far. They're doing their slow stoic setup, but I'm sure Ace has some fantastic comparisons on just how long it's taking the kind of Russian team to get themselves ready to go for that take. They want to make sure that they've cleared the pocket of space, whereas Cowana, the amount of times we saw them go, let's put the pressure on, like, let's get heated, let's get inside the site, whether they'd been able to have the most successful start or not, where obviously we saw their first success was someone got dropped through the floor and then they went hot pressure onto site. We're not really seeing that from Virtus Pro yet, and I think that's dampening some of their sort of pace. With Cowana, as we said before, they are a hyper aggro team at times.
It's so strange to see, right? Because VP, they take really good control of the map quite early on. They managed to get some of the entries, or at least a return kill as well. And what happens then? They kind of turn invisible as soon as they reach the goal of getting the top floor control. And it kind of hurts to see. There's Cowana right here, with Sloth going for a very aggressive spawn pick, able to pick him up. Sloth.
Oh, he's having a good time.
He's having a very good time, even though he only has 2 kills so far after Rio.
Honestly, I mean, if they're against Pasha, those are important kills. It's impact frags, and he just made one of the biggest there. They don't just lose their rest, they lose Pasha, who's having such a big game. When he's in the rounds and able to find his way through, he was the first body dropped in the previous round, and he's the first body dropped this time too. And with the performance that's being put up by Gorgona on the opposite side, when your big gunners go down, 2 of them to Sloth, playing towards the same angle from 2 different stories. He's thirsting for a third, and he finds it. And the Monkey King is making sure that Dez is happy and proud outside in a different call.
Des quickly telling him a message, hey, can you do a bit more, I've been hyping you up, you need to get some kills. And Sloth's like, all right, mate, I'll pick up 3 like that and suddenly bring this round into the hands of Cowana, which would be worth a point, mind you. It's already up onto 4-5, meaning that if they win this one, that is 1 point in the bag. VP can only fight for 2. That situation is right now they are stacking up. Grizzly, Sloth both looking towards the cool vibe stairs. I believe there's one more member. Gorgona on the other side of the reinforcement has the opportunity to peek it. So I'm not quite sure if anybody is looking forward to be... Look at that. 3 people just ready to run down the cool vibe stairs as soon as one member is being spotted by the Banshee.
They're trying to take different angles from it as well. I believe Sloth wants to hop over the top. Grizzly wants to take the stairs, and then they have the rotate swing too. But Kajeka is the one that stops him after so much destruction already. Finds the first for their round here, and at least finds some ingress. But you might not be aware that there was the Vigil double stacking there on that hold and that angle. They still have that pressure if they need to. Rask dancing around double window, making sure they have some clarity here, as I believe they might be going just to try and again open that little pocket of space, potentially summing up the idea of should we hit Aqua, should we try and get in on Hookah. Either way, they're going for a big rotation here underneath.
Sheka still has the diffuser though, so he has to be very careful as he finds himself inside that building. Of course, 3 of the members are located on the top floor of what we know, and I'm not quite sure of where the 4th one is located, but it definitely seems to be that he is willing to go from the cool vibe stairs. Whilst Rask is actually putting up some pressure, some distraction maybe from the Aqua side of things, using the Gon 6 to get rid of the Banshee. Meantime, Garzeka, however, needs to push up. Flashbangs are being zapped out. Rask is going to be able to pick up 1 kill with 50 seconds left. It's a full blind situation right here, but it's only up to Garzeka now, all alone in a 1v3 situation with much time left. So many impacts flying his way. And Kendrick picking up that final kill. It's Cowana on a point.
Well, it's all smiles, and about 50 impact grenades were lobbed at Cool Vibes. They had the clear. You have to give credit there to Rask, who was able to get in and get across the site there. If obviously he'd been able to do a little bit more damage, maybe if they'd doubled up there too. Obviously, you never really know how those win your one situations are going to go. He took it and pushed deeper to try and alleviate, obviously, Kajeka, who had the diffuser, to be able to get in on the Cool Vibes, but Kendrew had the lockdown from the opposite side. Virtus Pro, they're on death's door, but they've only 2 rounds away from fighting their way back to OT.
So during the previous game, Trainhard was also 2 rounds ahead, and somehow Empire managed to bring it back. The Russians as well in that story. So maybe VP is going to be able to repeat it right here in this game against Cowana. But that round, it was so convincing from Cowana. First of all, Sloth just getting 3 kills. Probably 2 of them he shouldn't have gotten due to the fact there was a drone on him and somehow still managed to outgun them. And at that moment, you saw 3-person stack up down onto the Cool Vibe stairs. They were like, peek us, do it. Absolutely, like, please, we want to have fun with you. And when they didn't give that, they just decided to throw every Pokeball they had at the person that was coming down Cool Vibes eventually. So, I mean, they were really planning it out.
It works.
If it works, it works.
It works. And, you know, I guess that's the thing. They were very quick to react. They're quick to get in terms of what they can apply and put the pressure back. You hope they had a heck of a team talk there. Virtus Pro, as we've talked about before, you know, they're always this team that has this possibility of fighting back. They always have this momentum with them, even in games where it feels like they're a bit on the back foot. It's not like with a lot of other teams that have found themselves struggling this season. They've been able to keep putting in these great fights, often all the way to the end. So you know that they still have some possibility and potential of being able to put this game back, at least to OT. Well, I say at least, that's all they could really hope for at this moment in time.
Just quickly checking the cams of VP just a second ago. I thought they were in like a gaming house, but it looks like one of them is actually in the closet. He's like everything. Like everybody has good lighting, right? You can see someone else, and they have one of them that you just see the reflection of the monitor whilst we quickly revisit the 3K that Sloth was able to put up on the board and basically decide the round quite early on already for the likes of Cowana. Now match point is upon them. 6 rounds they have on the board. They need 1 more for the full 3, and they have 2 rounds to do it. Doing so will put pressure down onto Na'Vi, their UK counterparts. There's definitely something they want to do after everything that happened in the UK season, I can imagine.
Well, Sloth isn't able to get the early pick this time, but with the power of strong legs is running all the way around across the top, making sure that he can be everywhere at once on this, again, sighted aggressive map. Kendrew inside the office, keeping a lockdown and making sure no one gets a quick push of presence before, but quick pushes of presence hasn't been VP's game. It's a controlled descent towards the site. There's a bit of a hello, I'm here waiting for you, and that's going to cause some attention, but that was it. He's just trying to draw some attention and maybe put a little bit of fear and I guess pull a little bit of those blinkers away from the rest of the push up here on Hookah.
Sloth's done the job of a roamer as well, right? Just draw some attention in the meantime as WTG taking a lot of damage. It might actually be taken out right here. Grizzly just not able to get the kill eventually. Does, however, get it down onto WTG on the 2nd attempt. And Sloth will be taken out eventually by Pasha, and that is going to be giving the entry to VP. But the question is, are they going to be able to recover the buck? It looks like it as WTG crawling all the way back outside. No knowledge on the side of Cowana of the injured they managed to hand out to them. It does leave VP in a very good situation now with that entry kill down onto Sloth.
It looks like an Arctic has gone up to take the mantle of where they were before. Sees the Gemini, and, well, that's just a Gemini. Kendrew pulls away and gets himself set up in a new position. Obviously, you put yourself there. It just takes a little bit of coordination and confidence to drop that man, but it also takes a lot of confidence to play this position too. There is Rask. Takes the head off of Kendrew with the clean angle, and they found themselves with 2 bodies up. But as we've seen before, they've been in this situation across many teams, and it sometimes doesn't really go their way. They still have the hardest bit left in the Virtus Pro book, which is lock out the round, get in, and make something of what you've been able to do with the round so far. So much of this Sunrise bar has fallen into their favor now. They're weighing up just when they can really push in and dedicate themselves to control. Here it comes. There's the angle being held long to make sure they can catch anyone in the rotation, but Anarchic suffers on the bottom of Cool Vibes. They spray towards the diffuser planter, who's going to be able to stick it in the back. Grizzly goes for the cover. Karjeka isn't confident, pulls back, gets Grizzly, and there's Anarchic stepping in to finish it off, drops the diffuser carrier. It's only Anarchic left. VP have the cover that they need and have just one more round to get to OT.
You almost started panic hitting there in Cowana, like 2 people, 3 people, all moving down inside of Sunrise. Eventually still managed to drop down that diffuser, but it wasn't much more than that. It was a valiant attempt. There was no way that Anarchic was going to be able to run away with that with the amount of time that was left and the positions that the VP players were located at. And well, that leaves it at the 5-6. That is going to be very close out of nowhere. Suddenly, there is that one round, and if you make one more mistake, or if the entry frag doesn't go your way this time, you might find yourselves in overtime. You might find yourselves at only a potential to fight for 2 points, if that's even the case.
Now, the last time Virtus Pro were able to thread 2 rounds back-to-back was the beginning of the game. They've otherwise just been able to pull individual rounds between all of Cowanas, which have always been off of the back of another round. It's a bit of a, concerning statistic, because it's you're looking at that in terms of, okay, can they double down on success, or is it that Cowana just kind of keep learning a lesson and learning it quickly and aggressively? I think one of the lessons here that they've decided to opt for is go back to plan A with their hold here above. The shield is back on 90, the mirror window is back potentially on the other side, yet in fact no, it's not at all. Mirror's not even here. What am I talking about? They've gone with a completely different hold in terms of their attention played through with information, but to be fair, so far the mirror wasn't having the biggest impact on the hold.
No, it didn't have the biggest impact. I believe it only gave them 1 kill.
Yeah.
It's still worth it if you manage to get a kill, but not if if you lose quick control of the actual room, which is something that VP was pretty efficient at.
I don't even think it did give them a kill. I think Cowana was just running around in the bedroom and then went back behind it and then got pushed out.
Well, it wasn't even a mirror window. It was actually the mirror that actually got the kill from the shield, I believe it was, back then. Either way, they decided to go for the mute instead, I believe, and that is, of course, going to be a bit of information denial, making sure that, for example, the X-Karas will not blow up, or breaching charges are not going to have the intended effect that they would like to go for. It might slow down VP just a little bit, and that little bit might just be enough for Cowana to secure themselves the round here, as VP so far find themselves a completely clear western side of that building. This will be taking control of that in swift fashion as well, whilst of course making the rotates to make their lives a little bit easier.
Yeah, again, Virtus Pro, as I've said before, they are steady on their approach. They do the same on any map, regardless of the kind of fervor it's put towards how quick and pacey it can be or how slow and monolithic it can be. Virtus Pro, they're the same. They love to lock down their control in their own time. And Cowana, they sometimes get a little bit antsy and edgy. Doing things like this, swinging and peeking on the luggage angle, seeing if they can take someone out on the roam. There's nobody on the balcony, but there is a body around Aqua that is playing on the drone right now, so they might be watching and waiting for somebody to get a little bit too close to the wire. They heard it zip past. They again might still not be 100% convinced that there is somebody up in Aqua, and luckily for them, well, they're still paying a bit of focus, but they haven't quite caught what Sloth is doing here. That's another minute gone, and that's still just a slow bit of pressure and control being placed around the Sunrise bar, the blue bar corridor, and the kitchen side of the site.
Now, Grizzly was being droned down in security. That's why he's holding down onto that hatch. He's expecting a push to be following up soon, but it's not happening yet. However, there is still W2G located around that corner. I believe he might just be rotating out as we speak right now to put the pressure down onto the side where it actually matters, because there is only 45 seconds left on the clock. They have it. Sloth will be taken down. Pasha will find him somehow and pick him up, and that is going to be the entry. That is going to be the roamer taken care of as well as WTG tries to find the one that is playing behind reception. with 30 seconds left. Will not be finding him yet.
That was a very important kill there, and you can actually see they had a drone that was just locked off on the angle in case they went for this overarching push, and Arkic has realized they're trying to dig it in, finds one, can't find a shotgun to get the second, and Rask goes deep with the diffuser buried behind the hard wall here. They're able to pick up some cover on the opposite side. Pings are continual, but with 15 seconds, well, they gotta be more than continual, and they gotta be aware that there's an echo drone. Hits the wrong man. Rask sticks it up high on the counter. Oh no! The body was in the default plant spot. You understand why he did what he did, but Cowana fans are probably wishing he didn't now. What can they do? 30 seconds. They're trying to find those bodies that are watching over the top. Gorgona is still up there, keeping a keen eye on the one that's inside the luggage. They drop. They go for the pinch, and the pincer on one that they can find. They find it. But they still got to find 2 more, and they've only got 20 seconds to do it in. There is one inside the courtyard, one on the door itself, pre-firing through towards the open angle. Pasha finds one. Kendrew, well, he goes for something big and bold, but it's a trade that leads to an OT.
There we have it. OT is upon us right there, and we're going straight into a tactical timeout for Cowana, and, well, understandably so. They had 2 rounds to try and clear it out, and weren't able to do it yet, and that brings us to overtime. That brings us to the opportunity where suddenly Virtus Pro is into the matchup as well, and has the opportunity to fight for the 2 points, just like Empire was able to pick up their 2 points today. VP want to get back into the fight for the top 4. They do need to win here today to make that happen, and with that, they also keep Cowana back of trying to put that pressure down onto Na'Vi.
That's it. Obviously, we can kind of cite the positions that these teams are in, but the point differential between them is so close. It's really a lot of teams' sort of possibility of putting themselves on towards the top. Draws, okay, if it happens to 1 or 2 games, it's very bad. If it goes this rate for all night and it's just 1 or 2 becomes every single game, it's actually quite good for a lot of these teams, because it means nothing is truly decided so far. Obviously, it means that those teams at the bottom of the board, that gap towards BDS and Na'Vi becomes very big. But Cowana, obviously, if they get 1 point, that's still 3rd place with only 13 points. That puts Virtus Pro on 9 points, and they're currently sitting around 7th. It's still a very close race, even if people are getting these little scrabbled and scruffy points in OT.
There's still 6 points to be given away after today's Playday, right? So it's still going to be quite close. And of course, the members of like Na'Vi, BDS, G2, they haven't played yet. Some of them might leave some points behind as well. It's only going to be making the last couple of days even more exciting if the top 4 isn't clear. They might be wondering, why are we talking about the top 4 this much? And, well, you know, there is no major, so you're not qualifying for the major. However, your placement will directly decide your 6 invitational points that will be awarded to you. Unlike, for example, APAC, where we first have the playoffs that will decide that for them. But the top 4 of each region would be going to SI, that is, right? Of course, we have 3 stages now, but ending top 4 at least means you're part of the best 16 teams in the world so far, and give yourself a little bit of a better position to try and fight for that SI 2022 spot for the remainder of the year.
It's also obviously worth sort of looking at the jumps of prize pool as well. Obviously, without any major, you're looking at, for 5th place, you get around 4 grand. For 4th place, 18. So the jump there between those 2 is monumental. 6th place, 3 grand. It's 1 less. That's why people are so desperate to hit that precious top 4. Is without a major, that's where the prize pool gets divvied up and doled out. And, well, that's what they're fighting for alongside those precious SI points. The SI points, obviously, statistically, it's not going to be as big of a jump because there's less of a jump to make across them. But, you know, when everything comes to that push and shove, it's so much better being in that 4th slot, even if it's by a scrape, scratch of a hair. And all of these teams, they're fully in the belief, and should be, that they can hit it, if not better.
Or is this the opportunity of them making it top 3 even doable? A team like VP, if they would be able to take the win here today, because it would mean they have the head-to-head over Cowana. That would mean that if they would end up on an equal point tally, it would be taking that place away from them. As right now, a lot of pressure is being put down from below. A lot of destruction coming in as well in the late mirror window. But I have to say that mirror window would easily be taken care of from the actual roof, I believe. Of course, they have the information that no one is there. They're all on that bottom floor, and that allows them to play the mirror window like they do currently.
Well, Virtus Pro have stuck through on the attack so far, and I guess it's always hard to judge on a couple of different factors. One is the fact that it's obviously a map that we haven't really seen too much to get the full face of it, but two is that it's been even either half, and well, over half of their rounds on it came in the previous two. They have some momentum, but Cowana have some lessons learned, putting them into practice in the heat of the moment before they transition over to their attacks themselves to try and cause their own brand of terror. Is the troubling thing. Steady drone work comes out with Iana Geminiing up the Cool Vibes stairs, swung early with a drone drop two as the pressure comes up. They're burning it very aggressively now, and Arkic is going to be the first point of cover. The frag grenade gets him very luckily for Virtus Pro, as he could have gone monumental there. Everything is exploding all over the top of those stairs. They are applying intense pressure, but don't have a situation to back it up. What they do have is Gorgona from deep. They flood in to Hookah, but they get dropped as they try and stick it. There's a man outside, and one more for Gorgona. It's just Karzeka. It's just Cowana, one round away from locking it off yet again, and that happened very quick.
Very quick indeed. They managed to get it down onto the player on the Cool Vibe stairs. Unfortunately, not able to follow up. Walked right back into the nade indicator as it turned red, and of course lost his life right there. I was still seeing Sloth, like he is playing inside of Aquarium. He has the opportunity of jumping down that hatch, of course. But it was already Gorgona that was down there. Jumped down from the balcony, went from below, managed to pick up the double kill, and suddenly the man counts completely in favor of Cowana, who now have the opportunity yet again, their third one, to go for the overtime match point. Line is being brought out, swapped out from the Ying, from the Candelas, and look at that. That's a Warden push coming in rather than the Echo.
Well, that's the play against Candelas. That is that pickup there. That's the reasoning behind it. Obviously, there's no smokes on the board, and we haven't seen smoke plants played by Cowana at all today. They're not really that sort of team. They love to get deep, get aggro, and we'll get the diffuser down afterwards. And here, well, they put an idea together. He still obviously has huge potential. He can still keep himself cool. But is that a change? Is that a sixth pick that might end up haunting them a little bit later?
Was definitely a good mind play coming down from Cowana, however, and this is why I say always use your sixth pick. It is a tool you get available to you. You might be able to mess up the setup a little bit of the defenders you're playing up against, because clearly VP wanted to play with the Echo. Clearly they wanted to have those yokais, but if you're coming up against Candelas and you know how Cowana have overrun you on this site during the first time you played it, you might be better off using the ward and making sure that the Candelas will not be participating to that factor, will not be making sure that you lose the round on the back of that. Unfortunately for them, they just lose the yokais, and they lose the opportunity of, well, cancelling out those Candelas, and it is something they will have to work with. Not quite sure. Okay, he does have the MPX with him. I was going to say he might carry the shotgun. Sometimes you see that. It's not going to be the case this time. Has the MPX to play together with the SMG 33. Difficult gun to control, nonetheless. As a take from VIP seems to be coming in, and they do have the Heart Breacher and our kick. Most likely going to be opening up an angle as a C4 misses right there. No, they're just running in. They're going forward. That's a very aggressive push coming down right here. W2G will be able to take down one, but it's only up to Milan and Pasha right now to try and make sure that this round will stay in hands of VP.
Here it is underneath. They're really digging their way in. The diffuser's planted, and Pasha, you are all that is left and no more. Cowana, and you can see the energy there on Kendrew's face. They get 2 points. They probably felt that they should have got 3. The team talk came through, and so does a hard-fought victory. Virtus Pro still walk away with 1, but for a team that has struggled consistently to lock out a map, that's going to be a very bitter taste.
I'm going to say it is commendations to Cowana on the 7-6 to go for a push like that. I surely thought they would be going at it a little bit more quietly, even though we have seen some aggressive plays from them. You know, they did kind of gave it away with the line to be brought, but I really thought when it went for VIP, okay, they're going to be opening up the wall. They're going to be trying to create the angles, but no, instead they just run at them and get all the kills because there was no way VP was expecting that.
Well, we'll leave that for the desk to break down. I'm sure they're very excited to talk about our first map on Coast all season. Let's throw it over and see what they say.
Thanks so much, Hap and Fluke. Des, you mentioned this